What's good, y'all? This your boy Black G92. Had to come back on here for a little bit. Well, another one. Return again. Because I know last week did a little live stream commemorating Tupac's B Day and such like that and what may have you. And now, my apologies yet again for not being as active like I normally would last month. I plan on doing me slightly more active this month. So and plus, another couple days will be my birthday, so I still gotta make some phone calls and everything else, make some plans and all that good shit. So that's what will be my agenda for today. I was gonna be here for about maybe 30, maybe 45 minutes, not too long. So I go ahead and make plans, iron out what I want to do. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. I might do a live stream the morning of, so stay tuned for that. And also, what was on the agenda? Yeah, I'm gonna start writing things down so then I can just have an idea what I'm gonna talk about instead of just going here off the top of the head because sometimes I forget. But anyway, what y'all got planned for the fourth? For those that want to log in, you're more than welcome to hop in, and y'all can just chop it up with your boy. Now, in the meantime, we're gonna play this song by my boy Jay Style, the one I just told you about that does songs and still needs a lot of work of say songwriting and recording songs because this man is, well, not this man, but because he needs a lot of work, man. I'm just gonna say that because I be trying to give him pointers, but sometimes it's just not clicking. It just seems like it's not clicking. And I want so maybe if I live stream it where people are on here and you give me your guys' feedback and I tell them that it might inspire them to just really get better. You know what I mean? Just prove that that there's more to it than just laying down a track. You know what I mean? Because anyone could just write a song and rap some shit, but if it don't sound good, then it don't sound good. That's just it. Oh shit, there was. Oh, what's his name? Hello. I don't know how you pronounce this YouTuber's name, but he made a documentary on Chester Bennington. Fuck. I don't want to say Bennington, but he's the lead singer for Linkin Park. They did a documentary on him. So I might check it out sometime. By the way, rest in peace to Chester Bennington. He had an amazing voice, by the way. He'll be no other vocalist like him in his lifetime, for real. Because he sang with so much pain. And then I looked into his life story. I was like, oh, makes sense. Definitely plays a factor. Why his voice so powerful and it felt so like authentic because he been through some shit. You know what I mean? And I'm sure he probably pulled a lot from those experiences. Now, right now, I'm on Eric Carter's YouTube channel, and I've been watching his channel, and I've watched his video made comparing the Little Mermaid 2023 version and the 1983 adaptation, not 1989 adaptation. What the fuck? So I'm gonna see what other video he has on here because I like his vids. He be making a whole lot of sense. Holy shit. Someone made a quick movie review for Avatar The Way of Water. I guess he's saying it's better than like Wakanda Forever, I guess. I'm not sure, but I might check it out. Oh, so he does a compare and contrast to the OG 1940 Pinocchio and the 2022 adaptation that Disney made. And based on this review I've watched from Altiori, I think it's Altiori or someone else, they point out they've removed instances of Pinocchio drinking beer and smoking cigars. It's like, why would you do that? The whole point of that scene is to show him doing bad things and suffering the consequences for it. And I don't think he transforms to a donkey in the remake, which again doesn't make sense. Removes the whole point of him going to this island and shit, doing all this bad shit and transforming to a donkey. That shows the consequences of his actions. But I don't know, man. It's just weird how people censor old school kids movies to fit with these strange modern times. I mean, stuff like as far as like kids smoking, that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, it's up to you as a parent to just monitor that behavior and make sure they don't smoke. When you're launching a new product, but like I said, it still happens. So what's the point of censoring it in the movie? In the animated movie, that is.
Disney's Pinocchio was released 3 years after Snow White, making it the second animated movie ever made. And somehow, it ended up being the 15th Disney remake ever made.
That's crazy.
Both audiences and critics have not been kind to this remake, when usually they shower them with praises.
Yes, they would. The audience would shower these movies with praises.
It ended up being the 15th Disney remake ever made. And surprisingly, both critics have not been kind to this remake, when usually they shower.
Oh, let me see this. Yes. Wow. I had no idea so many people loved Cruella. Now, I did like enjoy the 2019 remake of Aladdin. Now, of course, it's not as good as say the OG version, but it's a fair enough. It's a decent enough remake, you know. And holy shit, I'm surprised the audience showed that much love to the Lion King. I thought people hated it. I know I hated that shit, and I know people online hated the shit. And the Beauty and the Beast was okay. You know what I mean? It just had unnecessary had that unnecessary Beast solo song, which didn't need to be there. And not to mention, they made a big deal about I don't know how to pronounce. Is it LeFou or some shit? The short nigga that was in that movie, that was Gaston's buddy. They made him gay, and they made a big deal about it, and they didn't do much with it. I mean, they kind of just threw hints, but nothing else. So yeah, Beauty and the Beast was kind of necessary, and it was mid.
Praises, but with Mulan and now this, what is going on at Disney? Disney's Lightyear flopped. The Marvel movies are consistently going down with their box office. Their shows have gone from the top of the top 10 to the bottom of the top 10, going out of the top 10 completely. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's so true. That's so true. That She-Hulk TV series is nothing but 2-pack of ass. For real. That movie just sucked ass. I seen the review of Jay Longbone did on YouTube. She showed clips of the show. Wow, breaking down her issues with the show. And I was like, holy, I was watching the clips like, what the fuck is this? And they just allow all this cringe dialogue leave the cutting room floor without even bother going over it, or maybe trashing the script and going back to the drawing board and make something better. But they just threw it out there. And I'll never forget that there were animators that have spent hours and hours getting that twerk scene, the scene of She-Hulk twerking alongside Megan Thee Stallion. They spent all that time and money animating it, doing the mocaps and whatnot, just to show She-Hulk twerking. I'll never forget that.
Very bottom of the top 5 and didn't stand a chance against Stranger Things and The Boys, and now people are turning against the live action remakes. What did this movie do that it turned people off so badly?
I want to know this.
We all know what Mulan did, but what did Pinocchio do? Well, we are about to find out.
Let's find out.
The story for both of these movies is identical, except, as always, the live-action remake makes some changes and adds additional scenes to both pad out the runtime and make the movie more substantial and better, I guess. Even though no one was complaining about the animated movie's runtime
at all.
Additional scenes.
Right, no one cared about the runtime of the animated like version, because it was just the right amount of time, short, straight to the point, no filler, nothing. You got the point, and that was it. And they want to add extras for the remake. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add nothing to the original story. And I wonder who's going to log on, because I might end up showing this little live stream.
Hey, pacing is something that these Disney remakes always lacked.
Yep.
They also lacked the level of subtlety that the animated movies had. For example, I never noticed this until just watching the movie recently, but in the opening, you see an Alice in Wonderland book. This shows that Disney had their heart set on making this movie very early on, only for it to tragically flop 14 years later. But that was a good subtle reference to one of their potential properties right there. You want to see how subtle the remake is with its references?
Wow. What the fuck? It's all this nostalgia. Reference land.
Yeah, I mean, the clocks in the original started out innocent and then became a little more sinister in nature, which illustrated a bit of Geppetto's character. This, on the other hand, is illustrating character, just not Geppetto's. It's just Disney flexing all of the properties that they own. Although they have done this with their later movies, I did think that this was a bit much in comparison. Woody was fine because it was Tom Hanks, but the rest, it felt like reference overload. In addition to this complete lack of subtlety, just look at how the remake starts.
Once upon a long time ago. That's right, much better, much more precise. Never understood that expression. How can it be once upon a time? Hey, who's telling this story? Me or you? Who are you?
What?
I'm you.
Yep, it makes fun of itself. What, do we just jump into a Marvel movie? What is this?
Wow, they just went full MCU and did this lazy fourth wall joke that's been overused. Oh my God. Disney. Deadpool has not really been a thing since the second movie. Find another. Try something else. Just give up on doing fourth wall jokes. That's not your thing. Boy. Bit late to the party, though, by the way, by 5 years.
Now, Jiminy Cricket narrates in the animated movie too, but it's toned down and is much more warm and earnest in its storytelling technique. The live-action remake, unfortunately, uses it to tell jokes, and it doesn't feel as sincere as a result, and it just makes its whole narration.
Meet Litter Robot, the revolutionary self-cleaning box that eliminates the chores.
Boy. When other film properties try to be like Deadpool, it's just never failed. Never works. It never works. Because you obviously can tell, okay, they're trying to like do something else.
As a result, and it just makes its whole narration feel unnecessary. Speaking of unnecessary, much like the other Disney remakes, this movie stretches out a lot of its scenes to extend the runtime, and all of these extended scenes are just pointless. There are some exceptions, such as this scene, which we'll talk more about later. But aside from that, the remake is longer than the animated movie, and yet it doesn't feel as well paced. In the animated movie, the pacing is very swift, and it keeps what's essential and relevant to the story, as well as Pinocchio's journey. Meanwhile, in the remake, we get scenes that are purely there for padding, as they do not contribute to the overall story. The biggest offender of this is this new character who shows up, and her inclusion completely baffled me. This character wasn't in the animated film, and her inclusion in the remake just reduces the cruelty and feeling of isolation and loneliness that Pinocchio goes through. In this one same scene, he's crying in the original and fears that he will never see his father again, and you really feel for him. But in the remake, he's much less sad, he doesn't give even a second's thought to his father, and is talking to the new girl, and you just don't feel for him in the same way at all. That's how much her character takes away from some of Pinocchio's
Man, what was the point of adding an potential love interest for Pinocchio? It just removes the whole point of that scene and that whole sense of isolation, being away and just missing his father. Like, it's just pointless. I don't know why they did that. I've never seen this movie, but I've seen this clip. I was going by the clip I'm seeing. It's like, why would they do that? Add this new character that adds nothing to it. Like, it just makes sense.
To make matters worse, her story is completely unrelated to what's going on. And every time she shows up, she brought the cruelty and darkness of the story down and was padding the runtime, and it severely hurt the film's story.
We're going to figure out a way to get you out of that cage. Did you hear what I said?
And then we get to the tone. Now, I have always considered Pinocchio the darkest of Disney's animated movies, and I also found it to be the most disturbing. Do I need to say more? Here are the same scenes from the remake.
You sure are. Hey, you sound just like a donkey. Did that come out of me?
Hey, you laugh like a donkey. Did that come out of me? What's going on?
Somebody help me! I've been double-crossed! I've been played!
I've been double-crossed. Help! Help! Somebody help! I've been raped. Help!
Help me, please! Anybody! Anybody, please! Just
Yeah, I see your. Yeah, I see his point though. The anime version definitely had a lot more feeling to it than this one. Right? Does have the same. The remake does have the same feeling as the OG version.
The remake doesn't come close to the level of darkness in the original. Everything has been diluted in typical modern-day Disney fashion, just like what they're gonna do with Daredevil Born Again. The animated movie is so messed up and practically borderlines on horror, but the movie also knew how to be very nice and warm, and give you the feels that come with watching a classic Disney movie. The remake fails at the horror stuff, and was below average with the emotional stuff. So the story in the animated Pinocchio was a lot more tight, it wasn't padded out, the film was much darker, and the cruelty is far more prevalent, and it doesn't hold back from showing the dark stuff. The story for the remake, however, feels stretched out. There were a lot of scenes that easily could have been cut, the tone was much lighter, the cruelty felt fake and manufactured, and it felt like it was constantly holding back where the animated movie did not. So the movie with the superior story is the original Pinocchio.
Of course.
I gotta say, I always felt sorry for Pinocchio.
And plus, I want to add on to what you just mentioned about how the horror being toned down in the remake. Based on the clip I was shown right there, it's like, yeah, it doesn't even feel the same at all. There's no sense of, you don't even feel bad for the kid that turns into a donkey. It's just like, okay, this regular scene. You don't really get much sense of his fear and such of transforming to an animal. It's like, this happens. Unlike an anime version, just in the anime version, like dude was just screaming for his mom near the last end of it, and just started just braying like a donkey and kicking around and such.
Stupid decisions and goes with strangers despite being specifically instructed not to by his conscience, but you couldn't really fault him for it. There's the saying, I wasn't born yesterday, but Pinocchio actually was born yesterday.
Yep.
And as a direct result, he has not yet learned about the deviousness and cruelty of the world, and common sense is not a luxury that he has. So Pinocchio is one of the only characters that you can excuse for his bad decision making. Although, I always thought that it was woefully bad judgment on Geppetto's side to send him to school the very next morning he was born.
Yeah.
But regardless, you really felt for Pinocchio as soon as he gets deceived, as he goes through a very dark and depressing arc, which does have a nice resolution that makes you feel happy and relieved for him in the end. But it's quite interesting and smart that every wrong decision he makes comes from his lack of common sense and his childlike instincts. As for Pinocchio in the remake, when I saw the trailer and even the first third of the movie, I was not on board with him. Mainly down to his CGI looking kind of weird.
Yeah,
The
it looks
previous
weird.
live-action Disney characters did not win me over. But as the movie went on, he did grow on me. This especially happened when he exhibited doubtful and unsure facial expressions. I thought those were very well done and really helped make you feel sorry for him. And I especially like how this Pinocchio learned about trust. There is a scene that I actually found funny, and I did not expect him to say what he said.
It sure sounds fun.
But I don't trust you.
Trust is something that Pinocchio did not learn in the animated movie, and I thought it was a very smart and welcome addition to add to his arc. So I did get a liking for this Pinocchio the more the movie went on, and that's a first for these live-action Disney remakes, to get me to actually like the live-action version of the title character. Well, he's CGI, so I guess he's not technically a live-action character, but
Nah.
you know what I mean. There was another big difference between the two versions as well, during one particular scene. In the animated version, he enjoys destroying stuff at Pleasure Island. In the remake, though, he's not quite on board, but he starts to really feel
Spray hello to Elta MD UV AOX Mist. Hello 100% mineral sunscreen. Hello.
He starts to really feel uncomfortable about it once they start destroying the clocks.
Something tells me my father might not be too happy if he knew I was here.
That's when he doesn't want to do it anymore, and I thought that was an interesting take on the scene and the character.
I
even
guess.
like the way Pinocchio starts fires using his feet. So I thought there were some smart additions to this Disney remake. That's the first one of these live-action Disney remakes, I'm gonna tell you. And it doesn't stop there. They even say that Pinocchio can run super fast, which I also didn't mind. It did seem like a rip-off of Dash's speedrunning on water from Incredibles.
Yeah.
And it does beg the question, why doesn't he just outrun everyone that's coming after him?
Good point.
But I did think this was an okay addition. Aside from those things though, this Pinocchio feels like a less than mediocre imitation of the animated version. Everything about his personality doesn't feel anywhere near as genuine, and he doesn't react to the horrifying situations he's in like a little boy would. His reactions feel fake, and you just can't connect to a character that is that disconnected from everything that's happening. So although I think this is a decent interpretation of the character of Pinocchio, I didn't think he held a candle to the animated version.
Of course,
As for the
absolutely.
two Geppettos, look at this scene.
Eh.
Hey! What was that? Did you hear something, girl?
And in the animated version, holy shit!
Mm.
He's in here somewhere.
Here I am.
Damn. I forgot all about that part.
Okay, I kid. Seriously, it's been a while since I've seen this, and I forgot all about this scene. Honestly,
Yeah,
the
it's been
relationship
years since I've seen this movie. I need to rewatch that. I need to rewatch the animated version of this movie, the OG version that is. Cause I forgot he had a strap. He had the strap. Oh boy.
Most important in these movies is the relationship between Pinocchio and Geppetto, because the whole movie hinges on them reuniting, and if you fail at effectively establishing their relationship, then the heart of the movie seriously falls apart. And although Tom Hanks is putting his 70% into it, the special effects fail him quite a bit. I mean, this is supposed to be a happy scene, and all I can think is that it doesn't even look like Tom Hanks is holding him. I mean, it's so obvious that nothing is there. They should have made an animatronic puppet for scenes like this, but
Right.
Disney being Disney,
Mm.
they just use CGI as they always do.
Mm.
At the end, they even...
Yes, it must be hard to kind of just connect with something that isn't there. Just so then something that isn't really there, like some completely CGI figure, character, whatever. Like I think it's hard to really do so when they're not there when they're shooting the scene. But it's definitely a skill, and it would help if there was, say, an animatronic there they can hold, so then it would feel more genuine. Yes, I definitely see what he's saying.
this bit of dialogue between the two, which didn't make sense to me.
Pinocchio, when you first came to me, I might have made you think I wanted somebody else.
I mean, did he?
Mhm.
This line was weird. I don't remember him acting like he wanted something more from him. Also, they left the happy real boy ending somewhat ambiguous, even though they showed that he did turn into a real boy from the side of his face. Honestly, I think they did that because they couldn't cast a young actor who actually looked like a real version of Pinocchio, and they didn't want to create a full CGI boy either for budgetary reasons.
Mm.
So they went with this ambiguous ending instead. I gotta say, the relationship between Pinocchio and Geppetto is average in this movie. I still think that it's much better in the original. It establishes their relationship in a way which feels better, fuller, and much more happy and exciting. The live action one feels like they are trying to capture that, but it just doesn't have the same genuine soulfulness that the animated movie has. And that pretty much sums up all of Disney's live action remakes. So the movie with the superior interpretations of Pinocchio and Geppetto is the original movie.
Mhm.
In the remake, I like the way Jiminy Cricket jumps around. The animation of him platforming with the very nice and subtle sound effects was really nice to me, and I enjoyed watching it. Aside from that though, I found Jiminy Cricket annoying in the remake. He kept on yelling the same things throughout the movie, and it got really grating. Honestly, I thought that Pinocchio should have done what he did in the original book and killed him with a hammer. I'm not kidding, he actually did that. They should have taken an old-fashioned approach with his character here. Instead, they modernized him, giving him some modern jokes that really did not land. In the animated movie, he was much better. He was old-fashioned, he had a very soft voice, and when he did get louder, he didn't come off as grating. And completely off topic, but on a side note, I never got this scene. Why would that scare him? He's been underwater this whole time. And then we have the Blue Fairy, and in the remake, she talks like she's about to go host a season of Big Brother.
What seems to be the... Oh, yes, I see what the problem is.
Hello, Blue Fairy.
That's more like it, yes. I'm the Blue Fairy. Now, what's your name?
It really felt like she was performing, not like she was really properly interacting with the other characters.
Yeah, based on that line dialogue right there, yeah, I agree.
The animated fairy had a normal conversation, and the conversation was charming. In the live-action version, you really can't take her seriously, and the whole scene just comes off like an awkward play, especially when she starts singing after the awkward conversation, making this conversation even more awkward. And very briefly, that brings us to the song numbers in general. The songs for the most part were okay, but the way the movie transitions to them was very poorly done, and at times, very cringeworthy. There are also some scene changes with the fairy. In the animated movie, the fairy helps Pinocchio out of the cage and reviews his behavior, whereas in the remake, him and Jiminy come up with a solution using his nose. And this changes the way Pinocchio finds out how his nose grows when he lies, giving it more of a rewarding feeling rather than a troubling one. And that change in of itself doesn't seem that bad on the surface, but it gives the wrong lesson. In the animated movie, Pinocchio lies to the fairy, and she essentially tells him that it's bad to lie and that he shouldn't do that. But in the remake, it removes that lesson and instead reinforces the idea that lying saved the day. So yeah, not a great change. Going back to the other side characters, we get Honest John. That's great. And the drunk cat. In the remake, the fox is voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, and he shouts everything he says.
Stage name: Slab Oakley. Chad Log? I've got it. Chris Pine.
What the fuck?
Silly little children, not brilliant artists. Who needs an education when one has such a personality, such a profile, such a physique? Why, he is a natural-born actor. Right, get in? Strombolis! Fame awaits! Bad actors like me.
And it got real irritating real fast.
Why, of course you can go. I'm giving you my ticket. Here.
Thanks. But I'm...
Oh, I insist. Your health comes first. Come, the coach departs at midnight.
The voice actors from back in the day, they knew how to be theatrical whilst also being quiet. And it worked. But Key here just shouts everything and thinks that will somehow make it funny.
Oh yeah, the whole loud equals funny trope, which I feel like that trend should just die. Cause I can't even begin to tell you how many IG comedians use that same old formula thing. Them being loud as possible just means automatically means they're funny, which no, it doesn't. It makes them just annoying, loud and annoying. Like for real. Like it's almost like because there's an art to like comedy and such, and this voice actor is seemingly did not did not understand the assignment. Just and just thought, oh, if I'm loud as possible, we're gonna laugh at every line I do. It's like, nah, it does not work that way. You can be theatrical and you can turn up your voice a bit, but you gotta have to, finesse it a little bit, tweak it, so then it won't be annoying. It just be something that's gonna touch that funny bone, And obviously, this voice actor did not understand the assignment. But yeah, same with the IG comedians. Like, boy, some just need to find day jobs.
It just makes it grating and obnoxious. I like the added commentary that they tried to convince Pinocchio to become famous, but the problems with them really outweighed all the good, and I didn't find them funny.
When you're free to test your limits, you can push yourself to new heights.
I didn't find them funny. In the animated version, these two were bloody hilarious. They didn't yell everything they said, they were very subtle and manipulative, and the slapstick between the two was really funny, as were the sound effects that accompanied their shenanigans. Meanwhile, they didn't make me laugh even once in the remake. We also have the new girl, as I mentioned earlier. She wants to be a ballerina but has a broken leg and does it through these puppets instead. I've already talked about her earlier, but to sum up, I feel like this could have been a character from a completely separate Pixar film, and she really felt pointless and out of place here. She takes up precious screen time and she made the film's emotional beats and Pinocchio's struggles feel like they had much less weight to them.
I should have listened to you, Jiminy.
No, it was my fault. I shouldn't have walked out on you.
Pinocchio, I'm up here. Stromboli's a horrible, mean man, but we're going to help you.
Guess I'll never see my father again. Leave me alone.
We're going to figure out a way to get you out of that cage. Did you hear what I said?
We also also have a bird that reminded me of a gender-bent scuttle from The Little Mermaid. In the animated movie, we get the same kind of bird for a single scene, which was sent by the Blue Fairy. And that's essentially your lot. Something interesting about Pinocchio is that there are not many side characters. The ones we do get show up and then Pinocchio leaves and we don't ever see them again. They just continue to operate and get away with their criminal actions. In the remake, they do say that Stromboli got arrested, so that was good, I suppose.
I guess.
But he wasn't anywhere near as despicable as his animated counterpart, so it didn't feel as satisfying when it happened. I mean, in the animated version, he says that once Pinocchio has worn out his usefulness, he will turn him into firewood. The new movie doesn't go this dark. It reduces the stakes. And in the grand scheme of things, it makes you feel less scared and sorry for Pinocchio. And as for the other villain, dude, this guy freaked me out as a kid, and calling him insane doesn't quite cut it. He is a freaking monster, especially what he does with the kids after he lures them in and has them turn into donkeys. He ships off the ones that can't talk, but the ones that do, he separates them in their own pile, and we don't know what he does with them. And that's what makes it so terrifying. In the remake, we get this guy.
Talking all this nonsense about a so-called conscience.
And let me tell you, this guy would scare the crap out of this guy.
Yeah, he
He's not even
would.
a shell of the villain that he was in the animated
At
movie.
all.
He even sings a goofy song. He's just a safe modern-day Disney villain, and I didn't like him in the slightest. So the movie with the superior side characters is the original Pinocchio.
Let's see this conclusion. We already know that
I
the
feel like a
OG
broken record at this
film
point.
is
How
better.
many Disney remakes have come out? And how many have I done versus videos for? To throw
A
the record
dozen.
for a loop, I will say this. I did not hate this Disney remake. I actually thought it was the best of the recent lineup. That isn't saying much, but for me to even give it that means that someone's wish came true. You could have wished for anything, but yeah, make Eric Carter not hate a Disney remake.
Talking all this nonsense about a so-called conscience.
Was it worth it? Despite not hating it, the connection between Pinocchio and his father didn't leave anywhere near as much of an impression. The CGI at times looks like it was taken out of the Polar Express, another one of Robert Zemeckis' movies. The main theme for the remake is decent, but didn't hold a candle to the original theme, as did the rest of the music. And as for the songs, I didn't really like any of them in the remake either, especially the new songs. They were just tacked on and awkward as all heck. In the animated movie, they are downright classic songs. I mean,
Alright, man. I might watch it sometime after this live stream. Apparently no one wants to show up, so I'm going to go ahead and just log on out and just figure out what I'm going to do the rest of the day. Appreciate for those that did pause, and well, if you're going to watch this, it's already going to be done and over with. So I'm going to record a few more videos and we'll see and we'll see if folks will decide to take the time out their day to watch my new reaction video in spite of my absence. I'm just gonna crank out probably 2, just to give me something to do to pass the time, and hopefully people react to it and get back to requests. And also heads up, my biday's on this coming Monday.